I don't see this team at this point try to replace these guys any sooner than within the next 2 years, man. Because I really think that they feel as though they have in place a championship caliber team. They may not say it, but I think they're thinking that this is a championship caliber team. So they're not trying to, at this point, because I can see them signing Fletch back another year. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
You talk about running it back. They're going to try to run this back again. And they're going to try to get, because a guy, like it or not, they believe in this roster being a championship type of roster right now. And I can't say that right now. I'm not in disbelief of that.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for hanging with us. We are Sports Take. Rob Ellis, Eric Gunn, Barrett Brooks on this Monday. Again, tomorrow, Villanova coach Kyle Neptune, Tom McCarthy, and the one and only Brian Mitchell will be joining us as well. All right, so I mentioned this before the break, guys, and looking at this Eagles roster, you have some key guys who are getting up there a little bit in age, that's for sure. Jason Kelsey, 34 years old. Brandon Graham, 34 years old. Lane Johnson, 32 years old. Darius Slay, 31 years old. Fletcher Cox, 31. I didn't realize Anthony Harris was 30. Not to mention a couple of guys who could potentially be depth guys like Richard Rodgers if he's back again, 30 years old. Matt Leo, 30 years old. So you have some critical people. I mean, Kelsey is a critical piece. Brandon Graham is going to be a critical piece coming off the Achilles. We know Lane Johnson. We know Slay. We know Fletcher. Whether people wanted him back or not, he's back for $14 million a year. Anthony Harris, who Barrett brought up earlier. So these are some pretty, heavy type hitters here that you're going to be counting on that may not be here, in the very near future.
How about
as we take a look? Go ahead, Barrett.
How about Lane Johnson? He's also a guy that's up there. I think this might be his 10th year or 9th year.
He's 32. Yeah, he's 32, man.
I mean, that's pretty long in the tooth. Even though he's still playing at a high level, and he set out 10 games one year. He's
got the bad ankle, which thankfully held up last year. He did, but he's got the bad ankle for sure.
But I just think that I think they have a nice little mix of guys that are in their transition to being older guys that are still young. Like Jalen Hurts, he'll be 34. I mean, he'll be 24 years old.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You got A.J. Brown, 24 years old.
Mm-hmm. Devontae Smith, what is he, 22, 23, whatever
exactly.
he is.
Yeah. So, they don't have a lot of old guys.
Mm-hmm.
Milton Williams, young.
Yeah. Yep.
Then you have the transitional guys that are getting up there in age, the Derek Barnetts, and then you have the Sweats. Those guys, are at a point where, Kazir White, where they can make that transition, hopefully, into being the veteran guys that, BG and all them guys are right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they have an interesting mix, a pretty good mix.
Do we feel good about the succession plans for those guys? Now, Cam Jurgens was a guy they drafted partly because Kelsey really liked him. He thought he resembled him the most when he was scouting him. And he was a guy who he wanted them to, to go after. So, you got to take that into account, right? That's certainly a guy who you look at. Is there a succession plan there for Slay? Is there a succession plan there? It seems like there's one in place for Fletcher Cox for sure.
Yes.
With Anthony Davis or Jordan Davis, excuse me. Is there one for Anthony Harris? There doesn't appear to be one. Is there one for Slay? There doesn't appear to be one.
No.
BG. This is where you get a little bit worried that you're trying to milk another year out of these guys in their early to mid 30s.
That's the problem.
You look at Jason Kelsey, and you have to kill Jason Kelsey to get him off the field. So Jason Kelsey is going to be your mainstay no matter what. Mm-hmm. Cam Jurgens couldn't have a better mentor in terms of helping him get ready for what's to come. And because we've been listening to Jason talk about retirement for the last 3 to 4 years, we know the end is almost in sight. Jason Kelsey is not going to be one of these guys who hangs on just for a paycheck. When his time comes, he will more than willing step aside and let the next man up take over. Basically, Jason Kelsey is coming back right now because he still feels he has a lot to give to the game. But that could end by the end of this season. And, of course, a percentage of it will be determined by what he looks at when he sees his team on the field, what's their record, What's the talent level like going ahead for 2023? When it comes to BG, I would say Hassan Reddick could be that guy who could be his replacement when Brandon Graham's time is up. I don't think the offensive line will ever be in bad shape, even if Lane Johnson left. When you look at the way they bring offensive linemen in here and get them ready to play, as long as Jeff Stoutland is tutoring the offensive line, that offensive line is going to be in good shape. My biggest concern is what is their plan for the corners, because James Bradbury is the latest Steve Nelson. It's a one-year deal. You don't know what he's going to be like after the season. He could go to somewhere else. Eagles may sour on him. Darius Slay, we don't know what the future holds. Right now, there is no comfort zone with the cornerback position on this team. You don't look at the cornerback position and say, well, I feel good about this young kid possibly stepping in and getting significant playing time. I don't see it right now. So it's a mix of the haves and the have-nots, and every team goes through this. You've got to go through this and find your way, and hopefully you find that diamond in the rough who's ready to take that next step. So this is a team that has to win now with an unproven quarterback. Can they get it done? We can sit here and debate it all we want, but until we start looking at the W's and the L's as the season unfolds, we can't answer that question.
It is a weird mix when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
So you go into it with so much question about the quarterback, yet you were aggressive in getting A.J. Brown. You were aggressive in signing Bradbury. You were aggressive in some of the Hassan Reddick signing. Those are the types of signings like sort of win now. I mean, especially when you consider all the players that are over 30, but you're not there with the quarterback. You may be, but you don't know if
you don't know. No,
it's a strange dynamic they have going on there for sure, Barrett.
I don't see this team at this point try to replace these guys any sooner than, within the next 2 years, man, because I really think that they feel as though they have in place a championship caliber team. They may not say it, but I think they're thinking that this is a championship caliber team. So they're not trying to, at this point, because I can see them signing Fletch back another year. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
You talk about running it back. They're going to try to run this back again. And they're going to try to get, because a guy, like it or not, they believe in this roster being a championship type of roster right now. And I can't say that right now. I'm not in disbelief of that.
No, I like the roster. I think they're thin at certain spots, but I think everybody is. When you in the salary cap age, you're not going to have 2 or 3 studs lined up behind guys.
Right.
You're just not. Yeah. So as thin as they are, the secondary is the one that really stands out. But as thin as they are at certain positions, they're no different than anybody else, man, including the Rams, including whoever you consider the best of the best. They all have issues. And
they really believe, like I was saying before, they really believe in Zach McPherson. They believe in Kayvon Wallace. You look at, they believe in Craig James. They like him. They like Josiah Scott. These are all guys that are in the rotation. You know what I'm saying? Kerry Vincent Jr. All these guys are in the rotation. With not just the second team, but with the starters. They mix and match these guys with the starters. McPherson, and what I saw in practice, I think that he's going up the ranks of being, one of their better corners. They like him a lot at the cornerback position.
Did they like him enough where it could be a one and done for Bradbury, and then he slides in there the following year as the starter? I mean, he was when we were doing this earlier, guys, and we were talking about players that we're concerned about. Bradbury would fit that bill for me for this reason. I love the signing, by the way. So this is not a knock, and he's better, I think, right now than what they could have put out there with Slay. But he did have a bad year last year, and I hope that's not where this is starting to trend for him. I hope this was just a fluky kind of year, and it just didn't work out for him in New York, and it was time to move on. He's sort of a wait and see player for me on this team right now.
He in practice, he
struggled a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like he was, playing better than Zach McPherson. Put it like that.
And the only thing I would worry about, Barrett, is he's being paid a lot of money. I don't know
$10 million worth of money.
Yeah, so I think he's going to get every benefit of the doubt.
Yes,
especially compared to somebody who drafted it who was non-first round. So that's why I think he's going to be safe. But look, you got to do what's best if you're trying to win now for sure. And I think they view it as like we talked about earlier. The NFC's not a great conference. It's there, man.
It's almost to the detriment of this team that it's so easy because the expectations from us as fans and us as analysts, they got to put up a shut up. This is by far what's the third easiest schedule. The third easiest schedule.
Fourth in terms of winning percentage. I think fourth easiest in terms of winning percentage. But some people would argue it's the second easiest schedule by different metrics. So either way, I mean, you get the point. It's pretty winnable.
I believe that they're right on pace and they'll be able to compete. And it's not just our division, but I'm talking about in the conference. This conference is so weak, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got it's top heavy. You got the four teams that are top heavy that you see is like the Rams, Tampa, Green Bay. All right, three.
Are you talking about how would you rank them if you're running through them?
No, what I'm saying is as far as the top heavy teams in the conference.
Well, you got to go Rams. You still have to go Bucks, don't you? And then I guess Packers.
Yep. And then after that, what is it? I said 4. It's actually 3 that I would put in that, in that upper echelon of teams. Then after that, I think it becomes very, very winnable. You look at the Cardinals, San Fran,
Dallas,
New Orleans.
Yeah.
All those teams, Minnesota, all those teams around, and the Eagles are in the same pack. They're all running around in the same pack, trying to bite at those top 3, legs.
Yeah.
That's where I see them at.
No, I agree. And look, there are teams that could, if Jameis Winston's decent, New Orleans could be really good.
They could be damn good.
Right. So they're a teetering team. You're not really sure exactly how that's going to work with them.
And I'm not ruling out that Drew Brees might not surprise all of us and go back.
Yep.
He might go back.
Yep, I'm not.
Now
either.
that he's done with network TV, who's to say he won't go back?
Yeah.
The only thing is he's not coming back to Sean Payton though.
Hey, look! You look at it. Look at the pass catchers they got down there now. They got Jarvis Landry, Michael Thomas, and they drafted a kid in the first round.
Olave. Yeah.
Hey, when has Drew Brees ever had that kind of wealth of talent at the wide receiving? As good as those Saints teams have been in the past, they've got depth down there. And if he comes back, I guarantee you, Dennis Allen, if he's smart, will say, Drew, what do you want to run? That's what you do with a quarterback like Drew Brees.
Yeah.
How can we structure the offense for you? Yep. That's what you do.
I agree. I think they're one of the teams you look at that you're not really sure. I think San Francisco it falls into that category because I think they're a good team defensively. I think they can run the ball. They have Debo.
Yep.
They have Shanahan, who I think is creative, but there's a lot of uncertainty about who the quarterback's going to be. So we don't know what's going to happen there. You start getting beyond that. I think you're starting to reach a little bit. Maybe you could make a case for Minnesota a little bit, but I'm not sold there.
I'm not either. I'm just saying the parity, in the the next level of teams is so iffy because and Eagles are right there also as far as being one of those iffy teams. If the quarterback plays well, they could be one of the upper echelon teams. If he doesn't, he's going to be one of the lower teams. Minnesota's the same way. If they can run the ball, they'll be good. If they don't, they'll be bad. New Orleans, if
Breeze,
if the quarterback plays well, they're going to be good. If he doesn't, they're not going to be good. So
yeah. Listen, I hear you, and I think the Eagles. You can make a case if you get beyond the big 3, if you will, the Rams, the Bucks,
and Packers,
and the Packers. You get beyond those big 3. If you're trying to look at it objectively, I'd probably go Cowboys, Eagles, kind of neck and neck there. Cowboys, Eagles, Cardinals, and 49ers in the next tier.
Yes.
Would be my next tier.
Absolutely.
With the Saints the Saints did win 9 games last year with all the quarterback turmoil that they had and everything else that went down. They still won as many games as the Eagles won last year.
And Jameis actually
was playing well.
Was playing very well after the 5th game. He got hurt the 5th game?
Something like that, yeah.
And he had them going. You know, they were a very, very impressive team, very impressive offense. I just don't know if he could do that without Sean.
Right. Randall says,
Sean being there.
what about the Cardinals? And the only thing with the Cardinals is, you're going to be without DeAndre Hopkins for
6 games.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less if
Yeah.
they knock it down a little. And they're, I don't know what the dynamic is right now with Kyler Murray and the organization and his teammates as well. And Cliff Kingsbury to me is a guy who falls apart every year. So can I really take him seriously? Do I think they're good? Is it going to be a tough game for the Eagles on the road there? Yeah, 100%. But I don't think they're they're in the big boy category, at least right now, as far as I'm concerned.
No, look at the receivers. They got Hollywood Brown. They got him from Baltimore. They still have AJ Green. AJ Green's gonna be their lead receiver.
Yeah, he's a shell of himself.
Rondale Moore, really good from Vandy.
Yeah,
he's real quick. In fact, he's one of those cheetah type receivers. Fast receivers, small. Can play. Then after that, I don't know what they got Zach Ertz. They just paid him a little bit.
Yeah,
they did get Trey McBride, who was probably the best tight end in this draft.
So they're loaded at tight end.
Yeah,
they should be good at tight end.
Yeah. Then James Conner, you know how good he is from Pittsburgh. He's an all-purpose back now. He can catch out the backfield. He can do all that stuff.
He had a good year for them.
Yep.
Bounce back after a tough year with Pittsburgh his last year.
Absolutely. Then on defense, they got Kennard, they got Watt. They'll be able to rush the passer, man. But from the secondary standpoint, they still have Budda Baker. This is to me the Cardinals are an average team. As I predicate on Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And they're in a hard division too.
When I look at the NFC, I'm looking at 7 iffy teams. You guys mentioned the word iffy. I'm looking at 7 iffy teams, and that includes Dallas and the Eagles.
Yep.
7. I'm like Dallas, Eagles, Washington, Minnesota.
Yep.
New Orleans, Arizona, San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 7 iffy teams. Now, any one of those teams could jump up and shock the world.
Yes.
Any one of those teams could. But what if? Everything is what if.
Yeah.
What if Dallas suffers without Amari Cooper at the wide receiver spot? What if Jalen Hurts doesn't live up to expectation? What if Carson Wentz bombs out in Washington? What if Minnesota falters again if Kirk Cousins lets them down again? What if Drew Brees comes back to New Orleans? What Kyler Murray are we going to see? And who's the quarterback in San Francisco? Is it Garoppolo? Who's your quarterback there?
Yeah, or is it Lance? I don't know.
Trey Lance,
Yeah, Gunner, it's a great point. The other thing is with Washington, if Wentz, I don't think he's going to, but if he regains his form,
yes,
they have a really good defense.
And they got 3 good pass catchers.
They do. One who's very unhappy, Terry McLaurin, who didn't show up for mandatory minicamp because of his contract issues. But yes, like there's talent there. Their problem is they're a circus. They're an absolute zoo on 100 different levels, right?
Absolutely.
So there's all of that going on, and a quarterback who could go totally south or north. On them.
They have a good running game. Antonio Gibson. You have a good running back. So
good tight end, Logan.
Good
Thomas.
tight end. Yep.
Yeah, who's healthy again? Who got hurt last year? Who's healthy again? Yeah, I mean, look, I think Washington is. There's always that surprise team. I'm not going to say it's them, but there's always that team that kind of steps up here. Was Minnesota? Did they just need a fresh voice and get rid of Zimmer? And are they going to be better now? Because there's a lot of talent there at least on the offensive side. With receiving core and Cook, that team's got some ability. They don't have a terrible offensive line either. So they're one to watch out for, who could be in that second tier mix if they make their move.
Well, see, the only thing, I'm looking at the 49ers and, looking at their roster and then looking at their coaching staff. They lost their offensive coordinator he went to Miami. So now they got their co-offensive coordinator, Chris, was it Forrester and Bobby Slowick?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about those two.
I don't either.
I don't know how you call an offense that way unless you got a run coordinator and a pass coordinator. I like their defense. I like the way DeMeco Ryans is done. And how about that? DeMeco Ryans, from out of nowhere. from out of nowhere just becomes a defensive coordinator, one of the top defensive coordinators in the league. He'll be up for head coaching jobs next year for sure. For sure. He was that impressive as a coordinator at this level. And I mean, young, just this is his first year calling, as a defensive coordinator. So
well, he had the perfect mentor. He had the perfect mentor, Robert Saleh. So
exactly.
Robert Saleh was a great defensive coordinator for the 49ers.
But they have, I mean, you don't know where they're going, man, as far as offensively. Will they be able to call a defense? You know what I mean? Because they have some guys out there that can play. You know what I mean? Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk was, first-round draft choice.
Mm-hmm.
Fell out of favor with Shanahan for a little bit. But, towards the end of the year, he got back into favor and he had some big games for him. They got Deebo Samuels, so they'll be okay from a passing standpoint. Running the rock, they have, who's the guy that I don't think he's there anymore now. No, he's not there anymore. But they got Elijah Mitchell. I don't know who that is. Elijah Mitchell. But I like their fullback / H-back, Kyle. I forget how you say his name. Juszczyk. Yeah, Kyle
he's
Juszczyk.
a beast. He's a beast.
They still have George Kittle, so they'll
George
be okay.
Kittle is an animal. My goodness.
Yeah, he's a monster.
We know what they got, Armstead, Bosa, all those guys.
All those first-round picks on defense.
Right. So they'll be all right, man. They'll be all right.
You're right. I mean, that's if I think they want it to be Lance, but I ultimately, if Garoppolo's still there, and you're 5 games in and you're 2-3 and he just looks like he needs more time and he's not ready, I don't know if they stick with him, man. Because Shanahan, you remember he was in the hot seat for a little bit last year, and they got it going at the end of the season and got their act together, and he survived it. But if I'm Kyle Shanahan and I know at least Jimmy G can kind of do enough for me, and I got all this other talent here, I'm probably going Jimmy G if that's the case.
I think you have to. Jimmy G is a good manager of games. He's not an elite quarterback, but he can win you games. He's played in big games. He takes care of the football, doesn't make a lot of mistakes with the football. But he's made big mistakes in crucial points of games, especially in playoff games. But I think if he manages their offense well, San Francisco has enough everywhere else to do a lot of damage in their division and their conference. So let me ask you guys this. Who's the one team in the NFC that you will be watching closely because they could upset the apple cart in a lot of ways?
Boy. I'd probably say the Saints.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I would go New Orleans. The unknowns are Dennis Allen takes over. It's no more Sean Payton. How strong does the offense stay, with a non-offensive head coach, and really Jameis. It all comes down to that for me, because I think their defense is still really good.
Yep.
Kamara's still there, good receivers. I would say New Orleans would be the one to watch for me.
This is tough. This is tough, man, because I don't know why, man, but I keep going back. I keep going back to Minnesota, man. And I know you like that Christian Kirk, but I just see they have so many weapons, man. They still, have a great, wide receiver tandem in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Thielen was hurt for a little bit last year.
Yeah.
He didn't play, but he's back now. You got Dalvin Cook. He'll be back. We all know he can play, man. He's a beast. I like their defense. Their defense is okay. I mean, they got Patrick Peterson. They got Hunter still rushing the passer. You got Eric Kendricks. Eric Kendricks. I like him. And Jordan Hicks just went up there also.
I forgot Hicks went there.
Yeah, Hicks is there now. Yep.
Then they have Smith. Zadarius Smith left Green Bay is now.
That's right.
He was their leader in sacks. Yes.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal year. Yep.
To me, they're like the they're that team that they on paper they look like they can fit the bill. They're dangerous on paper, and I really think with Dalvin Cook being back in the mix, they're gonna be good, man. Tight end they got the guy from Alabama, Herb Smith.
Yeah.
So to me, I just think that they're most
Cousins in big moments, though, Barrett.
That's the only thing. Exactly.
I'm talking like he might have 300 yards, but you need that last drive to get a touchdown. Is he going to deliver for you or throw a pick? That's what it is with it. Like his numbers are always going to look good at the end of the day, but in a huge moment, what is he? That's what he's got to prove to you that he can do it in one of those kind of spots. With all the talent in the world, no argument, right? He's got a lot. He's probably got as good a 1-2 core at wideout if Thielen's healthy as anybody.
There's no question about that. And you say what you want to say. He averages like 4,500 to 5,000 yards a year,
and he's always got real good touchdown interception. These numbers are there, man. Numbers are there. Yeah. They're gonna be, and they have an offensive coach. Zimmer's gone now. Zimmer was big on. You remember he fired. Was it Stefanski? Who did he can because they weren't running the ball enough? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, a couple of years ago. Yeah, I can't remember who.
Or no, it was
that was the old coach.
It was the Eagles' offensive quarterback coach, DiFilippo.
Remember
he bagged him because they weren't getting along because he wasn't being. Yeah, DiFilippo was being a little bit more aggressive, I think, than Zimmer liked. But you have the O'Connell takes over now, who was an offensive mind. He may have that offense flourishing even more than what they did, in the last couple of years for sure.
See, I would never admit it openly because, like I've told you guys, my brother is a diehard Vikings fan, but that Vikings team is an interesting team to watch because of all the things that Barrett just mentioned. They have talent on both sides of the ball. They can put up 30 points on you in a hurry. They can play. Under Zimmer, they played rugged defense. He was a defensive-minded coach. They played rugged defense. They have all the tools to upset the apple cart in a lot of ways. But again, you just never know which Kirk Cousins is going to show up in big game moments. He's come up small too many times. He puts up all these gaudy numbers in the regular season and then comes up small when they get to the postseason.
Yeah.
And that's a big concern.
Huge concern.
And my other team would be the 49ers. You got to always watch the 49ers because I think they're the most physical team. Them and the Rams, I think, are the two most physical teams. Tampa Bay is a physical team, but the 49ers and the Rams are physical second to none. And because of the 49ers physical style of play, if Garoppolo doesn't make mistakes, just takes care of the football, they've got the weapons out there as well. 49ers and the Vikings could bump a lot of teams the last couple of weeks of the season.
You know who else? You know who's a little outlier with this too? The Birds.
Yeah.
You throw Hurts in the mix, and he plays. If he just plays at the same level he played at last year, this is a dangerous team. And we know he's going to be better. But if he just plays at this level, the ability to run the rock where they run the rock, stay on time. This defense now stepping it up, because the worst down for our defense was first down. They couldn't stop anybody on first down, which allowed them that, the offense now to playbook go from here to like here because you're going from second and 2, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, as opposed to being, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9. Teams were getting averaging 5 or 6 yards on first down. I mean, you could do anything with that. But if they now have this 50 front, or they can have 50 front where they can have Jordan Davis in the middle, right there on their nose, with two guys that can play, with Fletcher Cox and Hargraves right there lined up over the tackles. Lined up over the guards. I'm trying to think of what team they can go out and run on those three stacked in the middle of the defense.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Barrett, you're right. That's what in the offensive line, man. They're just going to be so good in the trenches.
Exactly. So they can definitely, man. They'll definitely be able to go out there and impose their will on first down, and that's why they got Jordan to do that type of stuff on first down. They were porous on first down.
Yeah, they
porous. They were running. They were averaging, like I said, 6 or 7 yards on first down. You cannot think that you can run defense and be successful because now you can open up and do anything on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1, and that's what was happening to them. It don't matter how far you put your corners back or how close you have your corners. That's just too easy to get a first down when you're dealing with those type of situations.
No doubt. All right, let's get a timeout here, guys. We'll come back. We'll dig a little bit more into the NBA Finals Game 5 tonight. I'll pose a question for you guys regarding Deshaun Watson. We'll get a little bit more into the live golf that went down this weekend as well. We will dive into all of that when we get back. We are Sports Take JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis.